here.
Right. We don't have to.
It's tasteful nudity.
It is.
All right. Well, what you call? I'm recording now. I think that shows up on your thing that I'm recording, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so we're started. I figured it'd be a good idea to get a podcast together where we could vent our frustrations that it's 1994 all over again.
Yeah, no shit.
Cubs fans won't know what that means. They only know what happened to the Cubs every year.
I almost think it's just the White Sox's fault that this whole virus happened. I mean, it's like you get a good team, and it's like this is what happens every time.
Patient zero was Jerry Reinsdorf somehow.
Yeah, right.
You just spread it everywhere.
It was that, and I was going to hit the dating scene, and that fucked it all up.
Oh no.
I mean, we were so excited. I mean, I was on the verge of buying season tickets. I mean, it was so disappointing.
Dude, I have been a super White Sox fan since I was like 6-7 years old, right? Like, I mean, Dad just had it on every single time. The White Sox to me means summer. I mean, it's baseball. Like, I watch other baseball too. Right. I'll watch a Cubs game like back in the day when you couldn't get any other games. Like, I like baseball. But I think that's the difference between a Sox fan, like Barack Obama said, those are just the pretty people, and these are baseball fans. Like, I mean, to talk about actual baseball with a Cubs fan, they glaze over when you don't say, like, Ryan Sandberg once every
is it Ryan or Ryan or that always annoyed the shit out of me.
Who is this guy? I've never heard of him. It's funny.
He was like
I would always claim that, being a White Sox fan, I obviously follow the Sox very closely, but I also follow the National League quite a bit too. I have a fantasy league I've run with friends, and we've done it forever, and it's National League only. So I end up learning a lot about the National League. So I would always claim that I know more about the Cubs than most Cub fans.
Right.
I have to follow all their players, and then it's some idiot. Again, I'm generalizing, man. It's terrible. Some idiot drinking at the game, and they know Rhino 20 years ago, or maybe Chris Bryant.
Kerry Wood.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, but you don't know the best bar to hang out by the park.
Thank God. That's all I have to say. That neighborhood, forget it, man.
If you had a pink shirt on, I wouldn't have said that.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like even going to that neighborhood and going near the ballpark, I just start to have the shakes a little bit. And I don't know if it's the park or the Cubs fans themselves, but it's just like, the sum total of all of it. I just want to
it's the smell of urine. It's urine.
Yeah.
I've seen some wasted White Sox fans too, and I happen to have been one of them a couple,
They ran out on the field a couple times, right?
Well, the guy looked like me. I will admit, I looked like one of those guys, but it was not me. But yeah, people get wasted at the White Sox games too, but they happen to know what they're talking about as far as baseball.
Right, and that's not my issue. Right, my issue is the guys that got wasted at the White Sox game showed up to watch baseball. The guys that got wasted at the Cubs game showed up to just be at a Cubs game.
Be at the game, right.
This is one struggle I've had my entire life, guys. So, I'm very much a left brain person. Like, I'm all about the facts and, math and all that, right? However, for some reason, my
right brain.
Oh, yeah. Is it right brain? See, I'm not sure. Maybe I should.
I thought your left brain was creative.
Was artistic and creativity. Yeah,
okay, that's it.
So,
okay,
yeah.
just testing you guys.
I'm like waiting for him to whip out some paintings or something.
Whatever Mundo says, I believe 100%. So because I think he's a genius.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Like, I want all the facts, but my hatred for the Cubs is so not based in fact. It's just so emotional, and I end up making random generalizations like we are all now. But I don't I'm okay with that. Normally, I'd be like, "What, Mundo? What are you doing?" But I'm okay with that because they're Cub fans, and who needs them?
See, now I actually don't hate the Cubs. I just hate the fans.
Yeah.
They're obnoxious. It's the Cubs are fine. Okay, let's go through and have everybody talk about how did you become how did Jerry start with Jerry? How did you become so on my screen, and I would guess it's the same for you. Jerry's up in my left-hand corner. I'm up in the right. Oh, no, it's different?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
You guys are all at the bottom, and whoever's
all right.
talking is like really big.
Start with somebody.
You're in charge. Yeah, you tell
How'd
us
you
who
become a
starts.
Sox fan?
Yeah.
Why are you a Sox fan?
Who, me?
Yeah, start with Jerry. That's fine.
Oh, I mean, I grew up, my dad, I remember going to games and I was a little kid and he would take us like to night games down there. And it wasn't pretty back then at night to go with little
To go by
kids.
the projects.
But I mean, it wasn't just the neighborhood, but those games would just get wild, man. Like people would just be getting in fist fights in there, and it was crazy. So, it was like anything. I think you're born into one fan base or another.
Right.
And that really kind of what sealed the deal for me was the 83 team. We watched a lot of those games. I think they were on Channel 32, and then we had the
on TV
with the Sports Vision or whatever it was. So like all those guys, Julio Cruz, Tony Bernazard before him, every guy on that team, I knew, and Harold Baines and all those guys. So it just stuck with me. And then, up to 2005. And that was like one of the best years I've ever had on the earth, I think.
All right. So what would you say your top 3 favorite players of all time are? They don't have to be statistics leaders.
I mean, Frank Thomas is one of my favorites. Jack McDowell. That 93 team was bonkers too. Bo Jackson. I'm not like a super old school guy. Like I'm not going to go back to like Louis Aparicio or whatever, Nelly Fox. Because like my dad was like Louis Aparicio and Chico Carrasquel and Carlos May and all those guys.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like start basically with the 83 team and go forward. So.
Sure. All right, Dave, how about you? How'd you become a Sox fan and all the rest?
Yeah. I've like been a baseball fan as far back as I can remember, right? And it goes from playing. I had 2 brothers that played, and probably collecting baseball cards too, and like memorizing all the stats. But it's funny, like a lot of people will talk about their dad being a baseball fan, etc. So my dad is an Italian immigrant, right?
Okay.
And so it's not like he played baseball as a kid or anything. He just moved to the South Side in the mid '50s, and was into baseball, but not nearly as much as I am. And so I think for me, it was just like living in the South suburbs, becoming into baseball. We never went north of 290, so it's not like we were going to a Cubs game at all, right? And then I think it was then just being around Cub fans and starting to really like not like them. And so
want to be on the other side.
Yeah, so it kind of cemented my Sox fandom. But I got to say, it wasn't my first game, but it was one of my first games. I went when I was a kid, and it was Disco Demolition Night. And,
wow.
Man.
And it like I like remember it to this day, right? I mean, how old were we? I wasn't old at all. And I remember it to this day. And after that, I was like, the game's fun, all this other stuff, like completely bonkers. And after that, then Jared, to your point, 83 just kind of sealed the deal. And it's been ever since. When there was a stretch when I lived in Chicago where me and a buddy had season tickets from, I think it was like 95 or 96 until I moved out of Chicago in 2010, and he still has them. And so we went to a ton of games, and then, we had so many cool experiences together and, saw so many awesome games that it's just been awesome.
Right. All right, Tom, give me some favorite players there, Dave, before I switch to Tom.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the Hurt, just, incredible. I like your McDowell pick. Burley is one of my guys too, in terms of recent dudes. And like, from the 83 team, like I guess Kittle, I like Luzinski a lot. I mean, I could probably go on too. But those are the big guys for me.
Sure. All right, Tom, how about you? How'd you end up being a Sox fan? And
there was no choice in my house.
Right.
If the Cubs were on TV, my dad would walk in the room and shut the TV off. So we had no choice. I never went to Wrigley Field till I was 44.
Oh my God, I love you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was because Monday tickets, and I got it. I didn't pay for it. So, but yeah, so there was no choice. Every game we ever went to was a Sox game. So, and my whole family, my uncles, there's nobody in my family that's a Cubs fan. So,
All right.
yeah.
I want to be in your family. That sounds great.
Anytime. Come on over, Dave.
Hey, you reminded me of one thing when you said you hadn't been to Wrigley Field until forever. So
Yeah.
When my buddy Frank and I had season tickets there, and again, he still does, a guy that sits next to us, his name is Augie, and he's probably, maybe he's like 10 years older than us or so.
Uh-huh.
And he told me, he's been to like 40 plus straight opening days at the Cell, guaranteed rate, whatever. And then I asked him about Wrigley Field, and he said, I've never been to Wrigley Field. I'm
Wow.
like, at that point, that's pretty committed.
That's
and
hardcore.
then he said, my wife wanted us to go to see Billy Joel at Wrigley Field, and I refused to go. Like,
that is awesome.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure.
So how about some players, Tom? Who's significant to you?
Lamar Hoyt was.
Oh, I love Lamar Hoyt.
Yeah, Britt Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Those are and this one, he didn't have great stats, but he was left-handed, and that's why I liked him as a kid. Was Mike Squires? I don't know if you.
Oh, sure.
Remember Mike Squires?
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom. MLB Network was broadcasting a White Sox game today from 1981.
Uh-huh.
And all three of them played. Burns started. Hoyt came in relief. Squires was playing first. It was.
Man, I wish I would have seen that.
Yeah, Harry was doing the game, of course, with Pierce Hall.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a Sox fan because, well, my dad will tell you that it was because some other relative in his family, like his grandfather or somebody was a Sox fan. But my entire extended family on my dad's side, they're all Cubs fans. Every guy near you.
Oh, wow.
They're all, and I mean, like wearing Cubs gear, like super Cubs fans. My father is the only one, and we have a huge family out of all the kids. I mean, there's 5 boys and a girl, and 6 kids, all of them super Cubs fans. My dad's the only Sox fan. I say it's because he's a dick and he piss off his father. My grandfather, I love that guy, and you did not. He didn't miss a game. I mean, he was an older guy, obviously, when I was at his house as a kid, but he had a TV room. Somebody's bedroom at one time, but they all moved out. And it was the Cubs game was on or a John Wayne movie, and that's it. That's all I watched. So they were diehard. He didn't even – my grandfather was one of the most lovable guys there. He's like Joe Biden, right? Always got his hands on you, always like that. And he just didn't even know what to say to us, and we showed up and we had like a White Sox something on.
He was speechless?
But he loved them. So that's how I ended up being that. And I'll tell you what, as a little kid, like I wasn't paying attention to my grandfather and what he was doing. The TV room I think was off limits till I was at least 10 anyway. But I didn't know there was another team in Chicago until I was probably like 11 or 12 years old. Like that's the only thing that we watched was White Sox games. That was it. So my dad was a butcher. The guy worked 55 hours a week. If there was time for him to watch TV, he was watching the Sox game, and that's it.
Yeah.
First game I went to, I was probably 8 or 9 with a friend, and Rangers played them. My favorite, my players, I wouldn't say favorite. Like, I always seemed to like infielders. Like, he didn't have the greatest stats, but I liked Alexi Ramirez a lot.
He was fun, man. I thought he was fun to watch.
He was a fun guy.
As a kid, Chet Lemon was.
Oh yeah, good old Chet Lemon. That's right.
Yeah,
and Dick Allen with there's a Sports Illustrated cover where he's like smoking and juggling at the same time. Which I mean, that's just that's so 1970s. I don't even know.
Right. And then
if there's anything more 70s than that.
Bo Jackson and all that stuff, totally awesome that he was on the Sox. Wish he was there before the injury because I mean he was a madman before that. You know what I mean? He was nothing like he was before. But the big hurt was incredible. It was incredible that the guy won a Triple Crown and all that. So there's been some great players on the White Sox. And I also have vivid memories of, and so like Cubs fans lose their mind. Harry Carey was the guy forever when we were kids.
Yeah.
To take me, I mean, I don't understand how that didn't become, it only became popular when he went to the North Side. Like it seemed
Like I remember listening to those like after the game with him and Pearsall, and they were just wasted.
They were
like
two
they had been
maniacs
drinking
too.
the whole game.
Yeah.
And they would just be so mad. Pearsall would just go off on like everybody,
Yeah.
And I'm just
and that's what was so incredible about Harry. I mean, it is a bit unfortunate, I think, that now he has this reputation of being just this sloppy good time drunk, because man, his whole career, and White Sox, definitely in St. Louis and White Sox for sure, he was very critical of players and teams. I mentioned that. And management. And so like this game in 1981 that I mentioned was on earlier, that was the first year that Reinsdorf and Einhorn took over the team. And those guys, even in the game today that I watched, it was opening day, 1981, and they like called out players anytime they did something wrong. Mike Squires made a stupid base running mistake. He got thrown out, and they just railed on him. And at the end of the season, Reinsdorf and Einhorn did not like that, and they got fired. And then what happened? Harry goes to the Cubs the next year, and the rest is history, right?
Wow. Wow.
So it's just so strange. And Harry was great, very critical, but then in the Cubs, he was just happy drunk guy.
Because Dave, you remember in the Cubs when Stone was critical of some players and stuff, they ran up into the booth.
You are right. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, play ball. Quit listening to what the announcer's saying.
How about it, right?
Now, speaking of announcers, like I liked Hawk Harrelson for the longest time as a kid, but like it got old at the end when he ran down to find out how who's the guy that got hit. He ran down there.
Oh, that was that Frazier?
Yeah,
Todd Frazier.
Yeah, when Frazier.
I'm gonna go check on him.
Yeah.
Talk.
Yeah, or towards the end, like if they were really losing, he would just be quiet the whole game. He'd be like so pissed off, he wouldn't say anything.
I mean, he probably went a couple years too long.
More than a couple.
Like every single story was from like the 1960s and 1970s.
Yes.
Oh, what about Yaz? What about Yaz, though?
Right.
Yeah. He talked about Gil Hodges. I mean, it's all this. But what is it?
Fucking Gil Hodges.
A team.
Don't even say that name ever again.
He doesn't like that. The team, though, they have their hands tied. In a situation like that, when they know an announcer's declining, they can't just jettison the guy, right? They kind of have to do it on his terms, and
he was awful at the end.
It was terrible. It was terrible. He had so Trumpism too, because it was like every single story was about the greatest this of all time. The greatest of great. I'm like, dude, 6 weeks ago there was another guy that was the greatest outfielder of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember when he was the general manager?
Yes.
It was very brief.
Yeah.
He looked like a caricature of a general manager, like wearing like big sunglasses and just like smoking cigars. Like it was unbelievable. And I think he made some really bad trades during that time. Dave,
he did. So
know.
Yeah, it was the 1 year was 86, right? And there was he basically fired La Russa. So you can kind of start there. Right?
Oh, well, that's a problem.
La Russa goes on and wins games for the A's and Cardinals, of course.
Multiple World Series too, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't even know how many.
A's and the Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
And so, I kind of started there, and I'm blanking on the one. There was a bad trade. Well, I guess moving Carlton Fisk to left field was the other big thing, right? So it's like, what are you doing? He was brutal out there.
I almost lost it there.
Good take, right? Like, why would you do that?
Right. Yeah. They're right there with Bush trading Sosa right before everything.
Yeah.
Right before he got on steroids.
Right before he hit the juice.
I remember like watching Sammy when he was on the Sox, like he was a very energetic guy, and like the fans really liked him.
I remember
Mhm.
watching him throw from right field into the stands behind home plate. Like he had a gun. He just didn't know where it was going.
It was one of these classic trades, right? Give up a young guy for a veteran, George
A
Bell.
guy that struck out a million times and
Yeah, and then
playoffs.
Bell like never had a good season for the White Sox and was out of baseball a few years later. So I mean, as much as I hate Sammy, you would have loved to have that back, right?
Sure.
yeah.
I don't know.
Was that the '93 playoffs where like the whole lineup struck out just every at bat basically?
I
Like
think
Albert
so.
Bell.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Albert Bell wasn't on the '93 team, but they played the Blue Jays in the playoffs, and they had a really good pitching staff, and it was just like game over. I went to game 1 of that series, and so this is kind of an interesting theme. I think I want to hear you guys weigh in on. Like, everyone loves the Cubs. The White Sox always second fiddle, right? And I guess it relates to '94 and this year. It's like it's something, right? So I remember the '93 ALCS game 1. I was in Champaign at the time. Me and some buddies road tripped up to the park, and we're in the park, right? And it is like going on. Michael Jordan throws out the first pitch. Like this is where it's at. But then later, Michael Jordan, the rumors start that he's going to retire from the NBA. So even when the Sox make the playoffs, Jordan steals the spotlight. It's like,
Right.
why?
And then he takes up baseball.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I liked him in a White Sox uniform. I thought it was
Me too.
awesome.
You look good.
Me too. I mean, for not ever playing baseball and to even hit 200,
Right.
there's guys that play baseball their whole lives that get to the
He
minors.
should have just played fucking basketball, though. I don't understand. Like, you're the greatest player ever.
Well, he did that because his dad got killed.
Right.
Yeah.
His dad's dream was for him to play baseball. That was his dad. Like,
I would have been like, sorry, Dad. I mean,
I'm pretty good at this basketball thing.
I think I'm going to
okay.
stick with that. I mean, I don't know.
right.
But,
that was as far as basketball goes. I don't watch basketball except for that time in the '90s. There in my life, I watched. I mean, I was on.
All of us did. I don't
yeah.
watch basketball now, but
No,
I did back then.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to games because I wanted to see him play, live. You know what I mean? Like it was amazing. Who was I'm happy that I'm a Cubs or a Sox fan now because even of the history of the White Sox, who was the owner that was like every gimmick in the world? And
Bill Veeck.
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
He had a wooden leg with an ashtray in it. That was awesome.
Did he really?
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
Was it like at his foot or did it pop out of the
I
thigh,
don't know the details, Tom. I've just read about it. I've never met the man.
Yeah.
I think it was just like a little hole like burrowed into his wood leg. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it a self-made ashtray from
Maybe.
the smokes on there?
I've never seen pictures.
But some of the ideas that he had were fantastically terrible. But like I love that on the South Side there's still, Star Wars night, Elvis night. Even though it's like a distraction from baseball, it's still funny shit. Like it's go see the fireworks show and all that other shit there. And it's funny when I take a Cubs fan to a Sox game, they're amazed first that the food's any good because it's
phenomenal.
Right. No, the food's outstanding. Like I get fat just at a game. And then they're amazed that there's other things going on. I had a blast. We went and saw Fields of Dreams there after a game, and that was awesome.
Oh, that had to be really cool.
Oh my God. Yeah, totally cool. Totally cool.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, did Bill Veeck he did Disco Demolition, right?
Yeah. So the story goes, he was the owner of the team at the time. His son, Mike Veeck, who also became a baseball executive as he got older. But his son, Mike Veeck, was probably in his 20s or something. Okay. And he kind of knew Steve Dahl, and then it kind of went. They sold the idea to Bill, and they did it. And
Rest is history.
I can't believe you were at that game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What were you, like 5?
Was it 77 or 79 at that
it was
game?
it was July of 1979, right? So
yeah, okay.
and I'll tell you what,
7 years old.
A lot of people claim to like remember things and question if they did or not. I have a vivid memory of walking through the parking lot holding my mom's hand, and the other hand I had a Disco 45, right? Bring the record into the park and they blow it up.
Picked one up.
And it was my oldest brother's idea to go because he was a teenager at that point. And we went. And to this day, if I say Steve Dahl in front of my late 70s mom, she goes, "Oh, that's Steve Dahl, that jerk," because of that night, right? Like,
my dad hated him after that because they had to forfeit the next game.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, my dad would be like, "Yeah, that fucking guy's an asshole," because, like, they had to forfeit the next game.
But he was always a big Sox fan, though, Dahl, right? He was always a big Sox fan, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, didn't he start his career in Detroit, though, I thought? But
yeah, I don't know where, but it wasn't Chicago. Like, he was not Chicagoan, is he? I don't think so.
Yeah, I used to listen to Dahl. I think he actually did a stint in, like, L.A. or something like that, too. Like that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of had this thing working before he got to Chicago with the whole shock jock persona.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always a Brandmeier guy as far as the radio.
He's back.
I know, I saw
like
that.
on Saturdays or something. Like kind of, I don't know what that
semi-retirement on Saturdays.
Yeah, him and Buzz Kilman.
Oh, wow.
Why hasn't that guy got a podcast?
God.
You know what I mean? That seems like a guy that should just have a podcast, right? Like,
right.
Do whatever you want to do when you do it. I mean, I remember being on construction jobs and like laughing out loud at the bits that were on the Brandmeier show. Like, I used to love that guy.
Totally.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. Him and Buzz are doing like a 4-hour show on Saturdays now.
Right.
I don't know where you get it. I don't know how, whatever, but
check the interwebs.
It's kind of like a podcast, but not really. I don't know. But he's old. They're all old, though. That's the thing. Like Gary Meyer's old. Steve's full. Yeah, but they're,
older.
Yeah, older.
I don't know. Old is not the same as it was when our parents were old. Like, our parents were our age. Like, they were older. I don't know how. I mean, I'm a dude in a wheelchair, and I'm still younger than my father was at 48 years old. Like,
some hard living back then, though, in the 70s.
Yeah, it was harder living for sure.
You had to go to like those swinging parties where you put your keys in the fishbowl and shit.
Like, wait, did those happen in Frankfurt, Jerry?
You know what? There was a story about my dad where like my mom caught him in a closet with some lady at a Halloween party, and he was like, "I thought it was you," or whatever. And
because she had a costume on.
Yeah. I didn't really buy it, but that's what I was told.
On every block in Frankfurt, there was people that was like, I mean, I remember getting to be coming of age and finding out that everybody was sleeping with everybody else on the block. I was like, what the hell is going on?
My dad, when he was unemployed, he would just have wine parties like Mr. Mom or whatever in the living room at 3:00 in the afternoon. My mom's working at Dominic's or whatever. Yeah. So, but my dad, another thing about the Sox thing, he when he was a kid, he lived at like 34th and Paulina. Oh, so like he played in Armour Square Park and all of that. And then they moved to Evergreen Park, and he played Pony League baseball with the Unabomber. And I have like the picture of it. And it's like Ted Kaczynski.
Wow.
Gerald Poncin.
That was like the last name I expected you to say.
Ted Kaczynski was not good at baseball.
Couldn't play no ball.
He said, they would all yell at him like, "Swing, Teddy, swing!" And
Whoa.
like, I'm like, Dad, you fucking bullied this guy.
Yeah.
He helped lay the groundwork for.
Yeah.
Bad. My God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, like, I love going to a White Sox game. I meet Cubs fans that are afraid to go to a White Sox game, and I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I mean, I know that it's in a location that's near black people, but I mean, come on. Like,
well, oh my God. Well, I mean, when they had, was it the Robert Taylor homes that were across 90, across the Ryan there?
Right.
You know, that was, you didn't want to park on that side. I mean, I will say
we
that.
always parked on that side.
Really?
Always, yes.
Because it was cheap.
No, it was free. Steve Maynard went to ITT. We would park in the ITT parking lot and walk right through the projects. And I mean, we used to, the crowd I hung out with, you know, it was like Danny Shanahan.
You guys were crazy.
Right. Like gorillas walking through the fucking projects going, this ain't so bad. You know, I mean, if I was a little old lady, I'm not going to head through the projects, but, you know.
And, you know, your comment's funny, too, about Cub fans thinking, oh, you're going to get shot if you go to, you know, a Sox game. Like, I don't know, like, the crime stats, but the crime rate in Lakeview isn't low, you know? I mean,
it's not.
There are burglaries and chicanery, like, all day long. And that would be the one thing to point to Cub fans, like, well, idiots, actually, it's worse up in crappy Lakeview, so deal with it.
So I read an article years ago that when they were redoing Soldier Field, they fucked up because they should have switched it. They should have put, for the city in general, not because I'm a White Sox fan, but they should have put the White Sox park where Soldier Field is, like had them play there, and then had the Bears play, because you only play 8 home games, and it's in the dead of winter. You don't need things outside of the park to do. If you would have put it on the lakefront there, it would have been scenic. They would have put
holy cow,
and all kinds of other stuff there.
Wow.
And it was just an idea that I was like, oh, if this just would have happened, the whole thing would have been different. There's so many things with the White Sox that just this one thing would have been different. If the '94 team would have won the World Series, you're going to get more fans because the kids that are then are going to be White Sox fans growing up. Right. If you would have had the park change, you know, you're going to get a different situation. If the 1919 Black Sox weren't what they were, you know what I mean? It would have been different too, right? So, we have all these strikes against us as far as that goes. So, I mean, like, things may have been taking a whole different path if we're in another, you know, dimension.
Well, I would say that, like, even back in the early 90s, late 80s, like, I don't think there was much of a difference between attendance, and the White Sox may have had more people. And then for some reason, like, the new ballpark coming in combination with, like, a lot of losing teams and the white flag trade and all that, that's kind of when the tide turned a little bit. And I think that people were just like, I don't want to go to that ballpark and sit way up high. And that was like when they first, it's nice now, and I don't mind sitting up there, but I would prefer not to. Like, if I'm going to be honest about it, like that old park, if you're in the upper deck, like, you were in close proximity to the field still.
Yeah.
And the new park, you're just kind of just back further and really steep. So
of all the, like, modern ballparks that got redone, you know, whatever it is now, Cellular, Westgate, or whatever the hell they're calling it.
What the hell is
guaranteed rate.
Guaranteed
and
rate.
They do have good mortgages. We got one from them
but
for our house now.
They did screw up on the design on that, because didn't they end up taking some rows of seats out of there because it was so steep in that?
Yeah, they had to do like a remodel 10 years ago, I think, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think it was more than that. But yeah, you got, you know, the point about the ballpark's a good one. Again, I think the Sox were subject to, like, awful timing. All right, so they build a new park, and it is, you know, in the suburbs. It's kind of dull looking. It's not very intimate, right? It's suburbs. Sorry, it's in the city, but not around a lot of bars. But then, what was the very next ballpark in the majors that was built? It was Camden Yards, right? Like,
which is
2 years later, which is like a retro design, and there's bars around there. So and from there on out, every park that was built was like that. And so it's like, Oh, we were so close. Like
Typical.
Yeah, you missed it. Like you built like a mall from like 1991, and you could have like,
exactly.
you know, like you could have really made like a retro. Like you could have basically built Comiskey Park again, except made it safe. You know, because a lot of that building was almost collapsing at the end. So like there was nothing they could do.
It was 80 years old. I mean, at that point,
yeah.
It's one of those things that's like, oh, we were so close. The renovations they made over the years have been great. Now I haven't been there probably in about 4 or 5 years, but from everything I've heard and seen on TV, it's looking really good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
the ballpark experience there is the best. There's so many bathrooms, which is a key thing for me.
Yes, right.
I mean, I don't like, as long as I don't have to like this, going to games as a kid was terrifying because you're short, and then there's like troughs and shit, and like all these dicks are hanging out everywhere. And that's not like, it's not cool when you're a kid, because you're at dick level. Like you can't get away from it.
Not cool.
So
cool.
Not cool.
I could see Jerry pointing to everyone. Hey, that's not cool.
Hey, like, can you make more stalls so I don't have to go to this fucking trough every time, please?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, there's plenty of bathrooms, and if you don't want to be around people, you can sit up in the upper deck now, and you've got your own. You can get your own beers, and there's no lines or whatever, and the seats are $5. So like on a nice summer day, you can just go there and hang out and have a good time.
I expected this team this year to be very, very good. And if you were going to make the playoffs, like all that nonsense, like the attendance thing, like I never understood the argument like that, how that's a thing.
I agree.
That goes away. The World Series year, that park was loaded. They were in first place wire to wire. A month in, once the weather was good, that place was wall to wall people. Right?
99 the hard way.
Right.
That's my you can't really see it, but that was in the Sun Times, framed it. But
that's
yeah,
perfect.
wire to wire. That year, it was just such. I remember listening to a game, and I was like doing some work on my house or whatever, and it was a Kansas City game where they were losing, and then like somehow 2 runs, you know, include the tying run and the winning run got walked in, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna win the fucking World Series. And it was like early in the year, you know. I'm like, because there's no like the baseball magic was just on that team, you know. In 2005.
Agreed.
Oh yeah.
So many things went right. I mean, guys had career years. The stadium, you know, was on fire all the time. And you know, the playoffs, they just blasted through the playoffs, which I still can't. Every time,
I'm so hot.
I'm starting to get the chills every time I talk about the playoffs that year. I just get the chills, and just to be part of that was like electrifying. I just couldn't believe it.
Do you guys remember when against Boston when Marte walked the bases loaded and then El Duque came in?
Yep, and shut him down. Yeah.
I was screaming at the TV so loud that my dog came in from the other room and was like cowering because he thought I was yelling at him because I was yelling at the TV.
That was one of the – I mean, like, I hate to say this, but I was in a bar the next year in Boston, and I got kicked out because I said my favorite thing about the 2005 playoffs was seeing the little kids that were Boston fans cry.
I can't imagine
when they got shot out of the playoffs.
You guys picture Jerry just saying it in the same tone he did at the bar?
Oh, that's exactly. I was laughing.
It was turned up.
It was turned up a bit.
Right,
yeah.
But yeah, I hated the Red Sox like almost as much as the Cubs, and I hate the Baltimore Orioles because of '83. So like. The Cubs are probably like 3rd or 4th on my list, but
oh wow, that's
they moved to number 1 on my list after Bartman.
Come on. That was horrible. That was horrible.
It was so great.
Right. They say.
I mean, the Brzezinski punch though. That was like Like when
that's
Brzezinski
just
got
grown men
punched, I
fighting.
was like, I thought that was the greatest thing I'd ever seen on a baseball
You had a
field.
professional baseball player let a ground ball go between his legs that lost the game, and you blamed it on a guy in the stands that PP Hands had like a 10% chance of catching
why
that
was
ball.
that guy wearing like Walkman headphones though?
He was listening to the game on the radio. He was just a baseball fan.
Fan, dude.
Right.
That's all he was. That was.
There was still another game to play yet.
Yeah, right.
Too.
Right.
Right.
But the very next
they
play,
did lose the next game too.
Yeah. So you're still blaming the guy that very low percentage that Olu was going to catch that ball.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody stood up and said, "Hey, leave this guy alone."
Yeah. Totally.
No, they turned on him immediately.
Florida changed his name.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like blaming voodoo magic. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, but that's how they always were. It was always something else, not what was going on in the field. Like, why weren't they going after DeRosa for letting the ball go between his legs? That's the guy who lost the game for you.
They still love him to this day.
I know. He's announcing for him and all kinds of crap.
Right.
I remember sitting on the couch watching that game before the Bartman thing happened, and I think I even said out loud to my wife, I said, I can't believe it. The Cubs are going to the World Series. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And then it just unfolded, and I was jumping up and down.
So you manifested that, Dave.
I can't take credit for that.
But
no,
this is ridiculous.
With Cub fans, I've always been. What's infuriating to me is the love for pedestrian average baseball players like Mark DeRosa or like I'm sorry, Ryan Sandberg isn't that great of a player. Like
I don't know if I agree with that, but
he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame more than Harold Baines. I'll go there.
Well, yeah, you're right about that, Harold. No, but completely pedestrian baseball players always get a bunch of Cub love. Yeah,
maybe. I mean, I think every team is guilty of that to some extent. I mean, there are Sox players that were awful that I always kind of enjoyed.
Mike Squires. I love Mike Squires.
Mike Squires. But Jerry, to your point, it's so much more noticeable when it's Cub, and it gives me another reason to like hate everything about Cubdom. It's
because like it's a shitty player on a shitty team, but everybody loves the guy.
Yeah, right.
Now I've had a couple conversations with Cubs fans about the whole designated hitter, and because the Cubs do it that way, I'll get people that argue with me the other way. But then if we talk long enough, they're like, "Well, I guess." And I'm like, "Why do I got to watch a guy who bats 106 every
I don't want to watch a pitcher bat.
No.
I'm sorry.
No,
106 isn't a bad for a pitcher. Like
maybe like in Little League it's fine because like the pitcher's probably like one of the best guys on the team. So like he's gonna hit, but like after at a certain point, like the pitcher becomes a specialized position.
Right. It's so much bigger than that though. If you've got the pitcher in the lineup and you say this innings he's batting second, that means you can pitch to the first guy, you can walk the first guy, you can get the second out for the pitcher that's going to be an out. You can you can pitch around the good, like you're going to get outs.
Yeah, your number. I mean, they're always going to bat the pitcher ninth, probably eighth or ninth. I mean,
but that only matters for the first go around. Then after the third inning,
right,
pops up. So
right.
But, there are a lot of baseball traditionalists that hate the DH. And I agree with you guys. I think it's so silly to have pitchers bat, right? Because, think about it this way. You're there to see the elite major league players do what they do. For that at bat, it is far from like best in class elite, right? It is just like it's the same as going up there.
They look like a guy like Tom's done years and years of jiu-jitsu. They look like a guy that just walked in the door and he just took a shot. Like it looks terrible. It looks like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's holding the bat all wrong.
But the Cubs fans,
try and bunt then too. Like do that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. But Cubs fans should love it. They got nothing but designated hitters on that team.
Right.
Right. I don't think anyone should fucking bunt anymore, and I'm going to say it you guys. It's statistically proven that it is a bad play. It doesn't.
When did they figure out with the stats that bunting was not the way to go. Isn't that recent?
Dave?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's probably gained popularity, I guess, recently, but it's been part of like the sabermetric world for years. I mean,
Oh,
the
it is,
argument
okay.
is, you have only 3 outs. You're giving up one of those precious outs
Okay.
to what? Move a guy along? It just seems silly. So yeah, there through some sabermetric analyses that focus on like the event by event action, like when a guy goes from first to second or when a guy makes an out, then what's going to result in the most runs being scored? Well, it isn't bunting, that's for sure. And
Okay.
that's how most of those analyses conclude. Now, I will say there could be situations though where it makes sense, right? If you have the worst hitter on the planet batting and you have the
Pitcher.
A
best
pitcher.
person in the world, yeah, maybe a pitcher batting, and you have a guy on third and the run could win the World Series. Well, maybe you do bunt then, right? There could be individual cases where it makes sense, but yeah, by and large, it's a bad
Because
move.
then in 05, Sox had a couple of squeeze plays, didn't they?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Ozzy
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Ozzy liked like the small ball thing, but that it's kind of a misnomer with that team because they hit a shit ton of home runs. It was like a softball team. You know,
Yeah.
you had Scotty Pods, who was like the speed guy or whatever, but like legit, they were hitting home runs. That's how they won that many games.
Who was the
That's
one
right.
guy that didn't believe in dinosaurs?
Carl Everett,
Carl
Carl
Everett.
Everett. Yeah, Carl
that
Everett.
guy.
There's a whole mess of black athletes that do not believe in dinosaurs. There's a shit ton of them in the NFL. They interviewed a whole mess of them. It's a religious thing.
Yeah, it's a
But
faith-based thing.
what about these big bones that we've found in the earth?
It's a made-up
Max,
thing.
Max, you're letting
carved out of rocks.
Max get in the way.
It's like the Flintstones. You remember? They rode the dinosaurs all over the place. That was how they got around, and they picked up all the rocks for them or whatever.
So how do they explain how fossils? I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking this, but
No.
I don't know.
Right. So you got one religious faction that believes, like, I want to go down to Missouri, to the Ark, Missouri, that museum that's got the Ark. They built the whole Ark, and it's got like people riding Tyrannosaurus Rexes. And I just want that the kid from the Simpsons, that kid. I want that shirt on the entire time. All I want to do is laugh at all this. But so you got that fashion of religious people that believe that, and then you got people who, they want a literal interpretation of the Bible. So there's a choice you got to make. You have to choose that either dinosaurs were alive when people were alive, or dinosaurs didn't exist.
that's your choice.
Well, because
Yep.
it doesn't work out otherwise. Because Genesis, Adam is the first being on everything. All the animals are created and then walked in front of him, and he names every one of them.
What?
Yeah,
No.
Clearly, that's what really happened. I mean,
Pterodactyl, T-Rex, Stegosaurus.
chicken.
You gotta see how silly that sounds. So dinosaurs.
That had to be exhausting. Like, what do you? When do you just start naming them? Like, I guess this animal's called Fred or Jerry or whatever. Like, because
I could see when he got lazy. Armadillo sounds pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. I'll just put some letters together. Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Dave, isn't the stolen base kind of going? Aren't they against stolen bases too?
I hate stolen bases.
It's very similar, right? Like, in order to have a stolen base break even, the rule of thumb is you have to be successful like 3/4 of the time or 80% of the time.
Okay.
And a lot of players weren't, like throughout the 90s and into the aughts. And as analytics took over, the front offices were saying, don't do that. You're wasting outs, just like bunting. And so fewer and fewer guys steal, right? You still have league leaders that, these days are maybe 40 or 50 steals possibly. But
Yeah.
like Reigns or
Mike Trout.
Or Henderson with 100 and
exactly, yeah. I mean, those days are gone unless, the game changes. Like anything could happen. The game has changed a lot over, 140 years or whatever it's been.
right.
Dave, what do you know about the change in the ball last year? Do you know anything about that?
There's the MLB published a paper on this. When did they publish the paper? Was it last summer or the summer before? But it was as this upward trend of home runs, occurred. And there were a group of physicists basically that analyzed samples of balls, et cetera. And even they could not pinpoint it. They said there was something different about the ball, but it was hard to identify because what they saw was that there was less drag basically with the ball. The thing is, all the balls are largely created by hand, and there are very loose and a wide range of specs for the balls. Right?
Okay.
And so as long as a ball fits in the specs, it's good. Let's use it. But I think what they're learning is those specs are just too wide, that they need to be narrowed a little bit to make sure that a ball really hits the specs to keep them consistent. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now that would be to actually make it consistent. I'm not convinced Major League Baseball wants or needs that because let's face it, home runs are fun.
It's fun. I'll watch I don't want to watch a 1-0 game anymore. I want to watch a football score, like 17-10. That's fine.
That's right.
Like,
and over the years it comes and goes, right? Like we were a little bit down on offense a few years ago, and now it's ramped back up, and that will continue. But yeah, I think it's kind of learning to everybody that the balls themselves need to be under tighter
controls.
Production. Yeah, like quality control needs to be better, right?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about baseball, right? Like it's a game that the stats mean so much. Like Dave, you're super into the stats, right? But like every ballpark is a different fucking size. They face a different way. They're in a different every different. Then you go to football and no one gives two shits about the stats. Every field is exactly the same.
Right.
Like that would be the game that stats would matter and this wouldn't, but
Yeah, well, and in football, people care about the stats, and NFL does, and teams are starting to get smarter. But the thing, if you think about it, there are fewer events that occur, right, compared to a long baseball season. So there's more. It's just way more random. You can have a guy over 16 games be great, but maybe he's not really that great. He just kind of got lucky. Where in baseball, that's a little more difficult because things kind of even out in the long run when you play, 162 games.
And essentially, you're one person against one other person.
Yes,
is a large part of the game. And in football, there could be a million different things that are happening on any individual play, and you're not really matching up. Like that one-to-one matchup could be bad or good, but it could. It might not affect that individual play at all. But in baseball,
you could still miss a block and still have a positive gain.
That's right.
Yeah, you could still score a touchdown if a guy totally missed his block. But if you swing and miss, you're not hitting the baseball.
Yeah,
so
right. In the NFL, it's simply harder to attribute credit, if you will, to if a running back goes 20 yards, was it the running back or was it the left tackle? Or right? It's just harder to do that.
Right, because it's not just a two-contact game where the pitcher's got it and then the batter's hitting it. I love, I guess I'm in your camp, Dave, where I'm right-brained on it. I love the stats. That's my one, I like Ricky Renteria just fine, but it's my one thing that I can't stand when anyone says, my gut tells me anything.
Right.
But I don't hear any shit like that ever again.
Right.
The fucking numbers. That's it. It drives me out of my mind that we know from there's this experiment that went on, right? Where everybody was playing Madden, and they found out that your odds of scoring a touchdown or winning the game were way better if you never punted. If you always went for it.
Right.
No matter where you were on the field, because when you're playing on the damn video game, who cares, right? That's not for the World Series. That's not for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Why isn't there was a goofball who was a video game player who became a high school coach. Yeah, he won 6 championships.
He won 6 in a row. He won 6 championships in a row.
He just went for it every time.
Every time.
Well, you remember when we're playing on the playground back in grade school or whatever, and or in the at recess or whatever? We're going for it on 4th down. Who's what kind of nutbag is punting?
But because there's nothing to lose. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like playing poker when, I used to play online poker, with nobody. I didn't know them. But if you're not playing for money, I can't play.
Yeah, right.
You're just going to stay there all the time. I go play Hold'em for 8 hours and play, 25 hands in 8 hours, where if I'm playing for money. But if I'm not playing for money, why would I leave?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, hey guys. Speaking of poker, I have to go play poker.
You got to go.
All right,
All
man.
right. Well, good
All
luck,
right,
man.
brother.
Dave, it's good seeing you again, man.
Hey, likewise,
Good to see
Tom. I
you.
know it's
Good
been a
talking
while.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry,
Go
Bill,
White
thanks for.
Sox.
Yeah, go Sox. Bill, thanks
We'll
for.
do it again. Hopefully, in a month, we got some like glimmer of light of baseball coming along.
That sounds awesome. I love it. This has been a blast, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good
All
seeing
right.
you.
All right,
See you,
Dave.
Dave.
Take care. Be safe.
Thanks, likewise.
All right.
No, I mean, I'll hang out still if you guys want to. If not, it's up to you guys.
I'm good for.
I'll hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll have another
Can we
beer.
talk about Ricketts?
We can talk about Ricketts.
I mean, of all things in the world to not be a Cubs fan, that's your owner.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that guy is one of the most terrible, evil businessmen,
Just human
like,
beings.
in the
not
last
just
50 years.
Yeah, he's awful.
You know, I don't know. So I know I'm speaking with two guys that, like, you know, have a lot of principles, and I feel that I try and live by a code. I know that I would have been upset with my team if they would have rented that pitcher that the Cubs rented for the World Series.
Chapman?
Shot at his wife. Yeah,
Chapman.
That-
Yeah.
Well, I was going to make a joke about, like, I had written the joke already, but I'll make it with you guys.
Okay.
Like, what's the difference between White Sox Gold Glove second baseman Yolmer Sanchez and Addison Russell? Yolmer Sanchez doesn't beat up ladies.
Right.
I forgot about it.
So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, so you have that guy, you have Chapman, you have all these guys where you're just like, fuck it. We don't care what they do. They're criminals or whatever. We're going to win the World Series. That's fine.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
sure, like, back in the day, there was probably some White Sox players that got in some trouble
I'm
about
sure.
shit too.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But
Hoyt
if you
got-
knew it and you still brought the guy on,
right.
that's the problem.
Right.
Agreed.
I agree. And the Ricketts thing, maybe it's easier for me to be judgmental about that. But when I see people that are like super, super liberals, they're touting every liberal cause in the world. And then like you would never, that person would never go to Chick-fil-A and buy a sandwich because of where they put their money. But then you'll buy every Cubs thing in the world. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's a weird
Yeah.
thing for sure. I'll tell you what, I would be, if it was the other way around, I think I would be, I don't know, I'd be poo-pooed on it. I would think about going to less games because like I just couldn't. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm a guy who tries to go to three games is usually my usual year. This year I was like, I'm going to 12 games.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. I
going
know.
to-
We were all talking, like trying to get the
I was
dates
going to
together.
buy season tickets like almost every Sunday.
Right. I'm going.
Yeah.
What's the word on the street? Is there any chance there will be a Major League Baseball season this year?
I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
I haven't
don't
heard
think
anything
so.
positive.
They're talking about what
Arizona,
they're talking
right?
about is playing everything in Arizona, which I don't I guess I don't understand.
How many stadiums are in
That-
Arizona? What are you going to play? Like a 20-game
why would you-
schedule? There's 32 teams or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
How's that
don't
gonna work?
understand that plan though, specifically because you're still like interacting with other players, you're still playing
Right.
the games. Like you
Right.
might as well just play it. Like if you're gonna play to empty stadiums, that's one thing, but you should just do it where the games were gonna be played anyway, right?
Well,
And just-
Arizona,
yeah, you're
so
right.
speaking of that, though, Arizona does really have a shit ton of stadiums. They're not stadiums that have big audience seating. There's a lot of
Yeah, so you could, if you're playing an empty stadium, it doesn't matter. You just need a
Oh, Bill, are
baseball.
you talking about like spring training
all
stadiums?
the spring
and-
training stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
you honestly
You
could
could play at a high school field, really.
play in a baseball field as long as the numbers were like you could average it out to be a White Sox Park's pretty damn small.
Yeah.
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 I mean, New Buffalo High School, when I was coaching my kid or whatever, like their center field was like 370. Like, so that's not nothing.
Hey, Bill, you remember?
It's not.
Bill, remember growing up in the square? Our fields never had fences.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool to see them play on the field?
You just run. You have to fucking run after that ball for like just forever.
You get a live drive, it could be a home run just because nobody could, if it went in the gap, nobody could catch up to it. Yeah. Yeah. But like, I've actually had some friends that are Cub fans that are thinking about stopping being Cubs fans because of the Marquee Network.
Oh, because I
wonder how that works out. Though.
I hope that fails. I hope it fails.
I'll be right back. I'm still talking to you guys.
I hope it fails, but like, you know what? If there was a streaming network that I could buy and say it only ran me, like, it was price adjusted to the amount of time I'm going to watch it, right?
Okay.
Like, don't put a shit ton of shows and stuff like that. For a guy that's got a podcast, it's kind of frustrating that, like, there's like 35 White Sox podcasts and like 5 of them are connected to the team. It's like, for fuck's sake, really? You're all over the radio. You need to be that many podcasts too. But if it was adjusted, say it was, $4 a month or $3 a month for the entire season, and I got to watch every game for sure, I would probably, what's the difference if I subscribe to that or Hulu?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, for what I didn't look too much into the Marquee Network, but aren't they forcing you to buy that in order to watch the games?
It won't be anywhere else is the problem.
No, it won't be anywhere else.
But that only makes business sense though, right? Like I bought the Disney Plus thing because, we watch Marvel shit.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah, Baby Yoda.
I loved Star Wars and all that other stuff. The National Geographic stuff that's on there is good. But I expected that network to run every single Marvel movie that was. They're not doing it that way. You got to have like Stars and Showtime if you want to see the other. Like, they let him go to those other ones first. And I'm like, oh, now I regret. I'm never going to watch Snow White. Not let you guys know at least.
I'll be watching Snow White probably when we get off this podcast. So
yes, yeah, me too. Yeah. It just brings you back to simpler times.
Yeah, but is the Marquee Network is it $3.99 or $4.99 a month?
No, I don't know.
I thought it was more than that. But it's like, for $3.99, you could stream a game of ours anywhere. Like, I'm on it,
Right.
But I don't think the Marquee Network was like that, though. I thought it was more expensive.
I don't know. But if it was like, say it was on your Fire Stick, and then you went on vacation, that means you could take it with you.
God, that would be beautiful. Yeah.
Well, the thing that I run into when I lived in Michigan with the White Sox was that if I even had, the MLB network on my cable, it was Detroit games, even though I was Southwest Michigan. But then when I would go to the MLB thing and try to buy it, I would have to call because my IP address was out of Chicago or whatever. So they would be like, well, you can't get the White Sox games. So that was kind of a thing, and I'm sure they've resolved it. But I would have to call. When I lived in Michigan, I would have to call and say, I live in Michigan. I know my Comcast IP or whatever I'm using says it's out of Chicago because that's where the network was based. So they would have to like kind of manually authorize me to watch the games. Otherwise, they'd be blacked out.
Now, I was at your house, Tom. You're watching it on DirecTV.
Right.
How are you watching the games, Jerry?
What now?
Yeah, like what? How are you getting the games?
Well, now, like last year, I'm in the Chicago area, so I get whatever network.
What's your provider?
Comcast Sportsnet.
Okay, but you're getting that through like Xfinity or Comcast Cable or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They were all on Comcast Sportsnet most of the games,
right?
And then any game that wasn't was on GN or ESPN or whatever.
I got screwed in the deal. I switched so I had DirecTV. It was running me like $170 a month or whatever for all the DirecTV that I had. And I looked into cutting the cord and going to all the streaming stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I've got way more content for like $90 a month than I ever had on DirecTV. And every single bit of it is on demand. So like if I want to go on and watch Band of Brothers, I can watch it anytime I want. We just started watching in the gym that John Adams miniseries that was on HBO. So like every miniseries, like I didn't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm until this year. Fucking,
I heard it's great.
Show is fucking hilarious.
I heard
So
it's great.
Holy
So good.
shit! I don't laugh at shows, dude. Like I don't laugh at it. I was laughing out loud. Like holy shit.
We're all fucking Larry David now, though, because we're fucking old.
Oh, right. But so I was watching the Sox games on Hulu, and every single one that's on NBC Sports Network and Comcast is available. But if it was on WGN, you couldn't get the game.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pull all my hair out. I can't believe that I cannot watch. So like I'm listening to the radio.
Yeah, unfortunately.
My next thing that Farmio's dead now.
Yeah,
that was really sad, and we didn't talk about him until now.
No,
right.
He was another one though that like the last couple of years, I just couldn't listen to it. Like
right.
I would listen on TuneIn last year to some of the games, and I just would have to turn it off because I'm like, I can't. I'd be delivering mail or whatever, and I'm trying to listen. And fucking Farmio's going on about some bullshit that happened to him at St. Rita or whatever. And like, I've heard it a million times. Like,
but,
I'll tell you what.
And I love Farmer. I loved him.
Yes.
Him and Rooney, that was like the best fucking pair that they had for a while, and
in my 20s when I started listening to her, late 20s, and I started listening to it on the radio, and he was amazing then. I mean, he would describe. I love that he described the uniforms. I love that he described the stance. Like, he painted a picture for me.
He did. Yes.
It was terrific. It was.
But did you guys ever? I used to turn down the volume on the TV and put Farmer on.
Absolutely.
Did you guys ever do that?
Yeah, because I would get sick of Hawk.
Yeah, Hawk, right.
Can of corn. The can of corn.
I love the can of corn, man. And then what was the one dog?
Rudy Law,
Lance Johnson.
Lance Johnson. That's it.
One dog. Yeah. There was always a can of corn for the one dog.
Yes.
And in the catbird seat.
Yeah, the cat.
Yeah.
I had to look up what the fuck that was.
Like, what is it?
It means you're sitting in the good spot.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It means you're the cat, the bird's right there. You're in the catbird seat.
All right.
Which I was like, all right. But so yeah, that's sad. What do you think of Jason, the kid that's out?
I love Jason Benetti. I think he's great.
Absolutely, yes, he's terrific.
I don't like him and Stone together. I think they're in love, and
really?
Tom said that the other day to me.
Well,
in a private conversation.
And it probably is because the Sox were losing a lot, but they're like, "Are you going to eat that sundae today?" When we get, I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit. I don't want to hear you two play grab ass up in the booth.
I thought Stone was kind of a dick to him the first couple of years.
He did. He was kind of, but now they love each
other. A little mean to this kid.
Yeah, but now he was, it was like the boy that beating up the girl on the playground when they're young, when they're
right.
I like Jason.
Everybody loves him. I don't like him. I don't like him and Stone together. They too much grab ass going on up there.
Maybe him and DJ should be together.
Maybe.
I guess.
I've never liked DJ. I'm saying it right now. I don't understand what I don't understand what he adds to any of the broadcasts. I don't.
When he played on the team, let alone.
He was on the team for like a year.
Right.
First of all, I think he might have played with Kenny Williams actually, like on that same team.
Did they have the same batting average, like 196?
Probably like 175 or whatever. But I remember the Sox got him, and he was like, "This is a typical Sox thing too." Like, right? Like he was good, and then the Sox got him, and he sucked. Like that's a 100% Sox thing. It's like, let's get Adam Dunn. He's awesome.
Oh, God.
Now he's
Adam LaRoche.
Ken Griffey is like
Junior
Walker.
Ken Griffey
Jr.
Oh my God, I thought he was dead.
I thought he died last year, but no, he's in center field for the White Sox.
How about the White Sox had a player that retired because his son couldn't be in the locker room?
Oh, that fucking Adam LaRoche.
Yes.
Was that it?
Right.
And Drake LaRoche, and then that fucking psycho Adam Eaton said, Drake LaRoche's kid is going to be a huge loss in the clubhouse. It's going to be huge. We're so sad. And when they traded Adam Eaton, I was like, oh my God. And Chris Sale, fuck Chris Sale.
Fuck Chris
He's
Sale.
crazy. And he's
dumb.
on Boston now, and his arm fell off. So whatever.
Right.
Like,
Right. Oh my God! For that honestly, that's if you. I wish Dave was here for that, but if you break down that trade for the guys that we got,
Oh yeah.
oh, so good.
Moncada, right? Wasn't Moncada part of that?
Yes.
Chris Sale was Moncada and Kopech.
Right.
Kopech too? I did not realize.
Yes.
I thought we got like 5 guys for him.
Moncada, Kopech were the 2 big ones, and then they got like Basabi and like a couple other people that probably aren't any good.
I'll tell you what, man, when that Mancada came up, I was like starstruck.
If they play this year, he's going to be the MVP.
Oh my God, so good. Like, and looks the part, and like everything looks like it's the real fucking
effortless. When they put him at third base,
I loved him at third base. Finally, a third baseman, right? Finally, since Creedy. You know,
yeah, like he's just so everything.
Like, so amazing. And then fucking Tim Anderson
won the batting title.
Yes,
wow.
Bill, do you remember talking to, like, I don't remember, like we were talking about something with last year when he did that bat flip or whatever, and then
God, and everyone lost their
one of our friends from high school was like, oh, such a fucking, who happens to be a Cub fan, was like, oh, that's so fucking, it's not classy, it's fucking punk or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you're racist. That's why you're saying
Baez does it every single time he bats.
Yes.
Baez flips a bat.
Yeah. Like,
if he gets a single, he's flipping the bat.
Right.
But did we get Roberts from the Cubs?
No.
No.
Luis Robert, they got.
They signed him straight out.
They just paid for him.
Right.
Who did we get for Quintana?
We got the young kid that the
second baseman, Magical.
No. Jimenez.
Oh,
yeah.
Aloy.
Hey,
yeah, you could keep Quintana.
Oh God.
I love Quintana, but I'm in the minority. And Brian McSherry is always like pointing out, like that was the worst trade the Cubs ever made. I'm like, well, it's like a 3 ERA. Like,
what about
your team?
That wasn't a bad trade.
Well, I would like to know Dave's opinion on that one, because by the stats, Quintana was a fucking world beater. He's
still not a bad pitcher.
Like, you mean Bill? Like
innings?
Like when we traded him, Bill? Like
yes,
yeah.
He was
even now,
no run support on the White Sox.
Exactly, no run support. Like it was like everyone hated the guy. He would come up.
I'm not going to bat today.
Right.
He had like a low 3 ERA.
Right. They'd lose 2-1 every time.
Yes.
But even on the Cubs, I think he has a mid 3 ERA, 200 plus innings. Like he's not like, like Jamie Navarro that we got from the Cubs.
I'll be right back, guys.
And that's one
where
of those.
He was like.
That's one of those unbelievably useless stats, right? The pitcher's win-loss.
Yeah.
Like stop even.
No, like Quintana keeps you in the game most of the time.
Right.
He throws strikes. Like he's gonna allow 3.5 runs a game, but he's gonna pitch 200 plus innings. So like, I don't care what you say. Like the Sox would have been a better team last year with him. Even regardless if they didn't get Eloy or not, like they would have won more games having Quintana. Now in the future, they're going to win more games having Eloy because he plays every day.
Sure.
So that's the other thing about sometimes pitchers are overvalued because it's every 5 days, or in a relief situation, it's, 80 appearances on the high end. So,
I
like,
would
your
not have
everyday player, if you can get an everyday player for a pitcher, you're almost 100% of the time
Sure.
do it.
Right.
Especially like with the new things, which I did want to talk to Dave about, with like you're doing an opener and then like doing a bullpen day where you just like throw out like Little League, like 5 different pitchers in a 9-inning game. And then that's like more and more. It happened in the playoffs last year.
Well, it depends on the contract too, though, right? Like, I mean, Quintana's contract was pretty favorable for him to be valued a little bit more because they weren't paying him very much.
Yeah, because they weren't paying him shit because he
Right.
was a washout with the Yankees.
Right.
Just like in 2005, where Contreras was like a washout with the Yankees and the Sox got him, and he was like the
he was
fucking
awesome.
best pitcher in 2005.
Didn't he have a really long winning streak in 05?
Yeah, he won more games than anybody, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In like a decade, I think.
I loved that high kick that he had when he picked that really high kick.
Oh my God. I remember I went to see him pitch against the Yankees, and it was like 101 degrees.
It's just like being in Cuba.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone sweat more
than him.
But he was just like, I think he shut him out that game too. It was in 05.
Like, no one knew how old that guy was.
No one knows.
He's not the only one.
Anybody from
all those Cuban players were like in the Little League World Series when they were 20.
Yeah, right.
I think Jose Abreu
they got full
like
beards.
50 years old, probably.
Yeah, he was
I mean, Jose Abreu looks our age. Like, he doesn't look like he's like 35.
42-year-old rookie of the year.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they kept Abreu too.
I mean, the clue is Abreu has kids that are like 24, or whatever. So
right.
he can't be 35.
I think he gave a hell of a home field discount.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did. He
did.
But I heard that the Cuban mafia is after that guy, and he can't leave Chicago.
Oh, his story is crazy.
Yeah.
What?
He got smuggled up here through Mexico, and
supposedly he hasn't paid them enough money back or something.
He hasn't. He had a deal where he had to pay them like a certain amount of money every year.
Deal like if he leaves Chicago, he's got no protection or something. Like, it's some crazy.
Wow.
Like, I got to stay here.
Yeah.
No shit.
I mean, what Cuban guy wants to stay in Chicago?
No, I'd go to Florida. I mean, I don't really like. Do you think as a kid Jose Abreu was like, I really want to play for the White Sox?
Yeah.
No.
I
He
live
was
in
like,
Chicago where it's freezing butt ass cold in the winter. Yeah.
I want to go to fucking Miami, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's been awesome though, like trying to learn English and like all the other stuff. Like he's.
Oh yeah.
And they say he's awesome in the clubhouse.
Yes.
With Moncada and all those other guys.
Eloy and Robert's coming up now too. I mean,
that Robert might be the next Mike Trout. That's what everyone's saying, because even the minor league, like I was listening to like the Sox in the Basement podcast, Bill and Tom, like you should check it out. It's really good. It's a guy from Evergreen Park, and like started it a couple years ago, and now like Cork and Carry is sponsoring him or whatever, but he does it out of his basement in Evergreen Park. But he was talking about how he did an interview with the announcer from AA, and he said, like, compare like Moncada to Luis Robert, and the guy was like, there's no comparison.
Yeah, that's
like
what
Luis Robert is like
5-star player.
Fucking to the moon. And did you see pictures of him? I didn't realize he's a giant.
See, now they keep saying that about Eloy Jimenez, and he does not look big to me. Like they keep saying.
No, I'm talking about
I know.
Robert.
They keep saying that about Jimenez. And I'm like, I don't get it. And when
Jimenez is a pretty big dude. Was he 6'3", 6'4"?
yeah, but he looks like
I think Robert's a bigger.
right, just big and lanky though, like not like a big hurt kind of guy or anything like that. When I saw Eloy, I was like, I don't think so. And then he was a little bit of a head case for the first month he was in.
He was.
Like I'm like, fuck, what the hell's going on with this guy?
I hope he's worked on his defense. That's all.
He shouldn't be out there.
No, he shouldn't. But like the Sox got a bunch of DH guys capable of DHing this year. You know?
Can we just have designated hitters for 5 slots in the lineup now?
Play
maybe
Sanchez at second base again and this DH for him.
just get a bunch of Adam Engels and put them all in the outfield, and then we'll have 3 of those, and then we'll just hit for him.
Isn't Sanchez gone?
Yeah, he's gone. He is.
Yeah,
gone. Yeah.
He signed with somebody else, but I couldn't resist making that joke.
Right. Well, so now, okay, I don't think
he doesn't beat women like Addison Russell. But.
If you have the DH in the American League, I find it unfair, and I had to explain this to a guy.
It should just be all DH, and actually, there shouldn't be an American National League. There should just be one league.
It's unfair.
Phil, what were you going to say though? But it's unfair.
Okay, so I explained that it was unfair that we have if we play a series against a National League team.
Right.
We go to their park, we play by their rules, and we go to ours, we play. He's like, how's that unfair? And I'm like, well, it doesn't make any sense that we get pitchers that can bat. They never bat all year. We go to your field, we have to put him up there to bat. You come to our field, you just get to put a bopper in your lineup, and you're better.
Right.
Go to your field, your pitcher batted.
That's true. That's really true.
Yeah. At first, he was like, no. And I'm like, and then he was like, oh, I get it. Yeah, that's not fair. And I go, it's not fair. If you guys had to do it if we had to do it the same way together, you guys wouldn't win as many World Series as you've won because that's not fair.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of it that way.
Right.
Yeah, that is true.
I just don't just pick one lane and just go that way because I think the DH is a more exciting thing for the game, but you can't have it the other way that.
No, I think everything should just be one league. Why are we?
Yeah,
we have a National League and an American League? Put the fucking Cubs in the White Sox division. Put all the teams.
That would be awesome.
Detroit
in the same division.
Sox. Fuck them, but whatever. They're in our division. Milwaukee, all those cities that are regionally close.
You still have
that's how you. You play most of your games in your division, and then you have a certain amount outside. But why do you need 2 leagues? It's dumb.
No. Would you still have the same amount of divisions then?
No.
I
guess you could. I guess you could do it and just.
But if
regional.
the Cubs and Sox were in the same division, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't it be better?
And Milwaukee Stadium is beautiful. I love
the Yankees, the Mets, Boston.
Yeah,
all those East Coast teams are in the same fucking division.
Yeah.
The Midwest, you're all in the same division. The fucking West Coast, which I hate. I don't even want to. I don't stay up for those games. Who does? Right. The White Sox are playing the fucking Angels. It starts at 10 o'clock.
Right. I still don't stay up because
I'm not staying up for that.
Right. Well, what you're describing, Jerry, people would kill each other. Right? The Cubs fans and Sox fans are at each other's throat now, and there's no fucking.
Could you imagine every Sox Cubs game would be sold out at both parks? So
all you need to do is add in the Bill Veeck 10-cent beer night.
Oh yeah. You would just see waves of people fighting in the stadium.
We could reduce the population of Chicago if we did 10-cent beer night.
No, but I'll tell you, people, those Sox Cub games, even on the South Side, they're full. I would rather have that. then like I don't want to watch the White Sox play the fucking Mariners. I don't give a fuck about the Mariners. Like,
especially since Ichiro's gone. I don't.
like I don't even know who is on the Mariners anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ichiro's gone, so who's on there? Like Felix Hernandez, I think
He's
our
probably got to
fella.
be done by now, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate those games. I do, because they're.
Yeah, I agree.
I strongly urge you to cut the cable, because now all the Sox games are, every single one, because there's no GN games anymore. They're all going to be on the whatever it is, NBC Sportsnet or Comcast, whatever. So I'll get them all on Hulu. The cost is so much less, and like it's all there. It's like there's a built-in DVR, so like I can watch the Sox games whenever I want to, you know. So like they're just saved for me, sort of a thing. You know what I mean? And then,
Okay. Yeah.
But like I said, I've got a bunch of different networks that I subscribe to. It's $100 a month, so $1,200 a year less, and everything's on demand.
Yeah, I was gonna cut the cord, and when I called, they gave me some kind of deal that I fell for, and I said, "All right, I'll take it for another."
I think mine's tied into the internet, where it's like it's $80 a month for the fucking internet anyway. So like pay another $50.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're running with the internet. Like here, I'm running the biggest service that I can get from Xfinity, which is like a gig, you know, at a time download, because it came with 40 megabytes per second upload.
Right.
So I could get everything uploaded fast.
Yeah. I know I got a gig. I got Uverse.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can't remember
AT&T.
I can't remember what that download and upload.
I don't know. I'm just more worried about this virus than the fucking pulling the.
You know what? It was nice not to talk about it for like an hour and a half.
I'm sorry.
You've been on it. God damn you, Jerry.
No, how is everybody doing with that stuff? I mean, Jerry, you're essential. You're out there all the time.
I'm staying home. I'm not out there. I've been home since St. Patrick's Day. So.
No, shut up.
Yeah.
How are you managing that?
I do get plenty of leave, and I just I had like somebody coughing in my truck that I was training the last day that I worked, and it kind of put me over the edge with like my anxiety.
I'm proud of you for that, because I get real estate agents that, like, you know, ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, I'm not. Why are you?
Yeah.
Like,
I can't, like, I came to the conclusion at one point that I was like, I'm only as safe as my coworkers, like, and because so many of us, like, the people that work for the post office are really dedicated, and they really pride themselves, most of us, on their work ethic and showing up to work and doing all of that. But also, in this particular situation, that's a negative, because the guy that just like is 3 years away from retirement and doesn't want to like mar his record or whatever, like that's the guy that's going to show up sick. You know what I mean? Like he's not, and we get a lot of leave, and I'm taking advantage of it, and we'll see how it ends up. You know, when it starts to go on the downslope, and if I felt that I was safe at work, I would go, but I don't feel that way, so I'm not going.
I'm encouraged by the New York numbers are really drastically starting to go down. Now the death numbers are not, but you know, I'm encouraged by that. I don't know if you were watching Trumpty Dumpty with his rallies every day, but nice. You know, the other day he went into the whole thing about the post office losing. Yeah, losing billions.
He has a limited understanding of it, but also he is right about Amazon. Like we got fucked by Amazon, and the leader of the post office is like, my thing was when I realized that all the executives, like that aren't involved in day-to-day operations started staying home, and then my union officials that aren't involved in day-to-day operations started staying home. I thought, well, what's the message? What message do you get from that, Bill? Like, it's not safe for us to be out there is the message I get.
Right. And that's I have the same exact mentality you do on it. And like when it first started to be stories, I was like, hey, this seems like a little something. But then the minute that Major League Baseball, the NBA, people that are making billions of dollars shut it down, I'm like, this is fucked.
It's fucking serious.
Yes.
Now.
Listen, so the state series for my sons, they say that the revenue that the high school state series in Champaign brings in, it's $5 million for the area with hotels and
holy cow,
restaurants and all the ticket sales and just everything else that goes on there. It's it's like a 4-day weekend that everybody's there, sort of a thing. And like they were lucky they got him in before the season, this shit hit. But the youth clubs, they bring in millions of dollars off that state, series that goes on, and they canceled it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel terrible for those people. Like, we didn't talk. There's a athlete tie-in to this situation.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were a baseball player and you're so good that this was going to be your rookie year, and now it's not.
Right.
Or like you were going to go and win the World Series this year, or you thought that you had a team that could do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm telling you, without hyperbolic talk, I was more excited about this team than I've ever been about a team. Like, I could not believe.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe you're telling me we have Tim Anderson and we have Eloy Jimenez and we still got Abreu, and then we got Kopech coming back, and we got a pretty decent pitching staff.
Dylan Cease looked amazing in spring training. His couple starts.
How about our catchers? We got two. We got McCann, who had a phenomenal year.
Yasmani Grandal, who is an all-star. 2 all-star catchers. When the White Sox have never had 2 all-star catchers.
And
I'd like Ron Karkovice makes me like just sweat because he was so shitty. He was the worst. Carco. I don't know. He was the ugliest man that I've ever seen. Probably, he
couldn't hit his weight. He couldn't hit his weight.
No.
Yeah.
I think he hit like 150, and he was also the whitest guy I've ever seen in my
Hawk
life.
loved him. Hawk loved him.
Oh yeah, Carco.
Yeah.
Whatever he called him.
Right. So the athlete thing, that's crazy. It's just crazy that you won't play that year.
Bill, what was
that's kind of what I
freaked
freaked out about, where I thought. So the NBA just has one person, which I don't understand how they got tested. Number one,
Money talks,
almost
buddy,
immediately, during a game or something. How did that happen? But number two, they just was we're canceling the whole fucking season, almost immediately.
I thought the one guy got it, but then 3 more guys on his team had it like a couple days later.
Well, and then Bill, guys that they had played, guys on other teams that they had played within those 2 days had gotten it too.
Right.
So I was like, man, this thing is really crazy.
Yeah,
contagious.
and you don't think you're gonna get it going to the grocery store, or being in a post office, or
right. Well,
showing a house, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm ready to. This has made me think about where can I move to, because the social media thing, man. To watch these crazy fucking Trump people who, I'm still waiting for them to still post the thing with the H1N1 that 12,000 Americans died and we didn't shut anything down. Do you understand what you're saying? Yes, we went around life as normal. 12,000 people died. 18,000 or 20,000 are dead, and we shut the fucking world down. No one's doing anything, and this has already killed this many people. And the H1N1 thing was over a year and 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, that's what people don't understand. you can look at those numbers, right? And you can be like, well, it's not that bad or whatever. But like, if everyone gets sick at once, then it's that bad.
And
Yeah.
that's the other thing. It doesn't just be on the same. People keep posting. Like, I just can't, like,
the herd immunity shit. I just want to kill people when they post that, because like,
I want to kill people when they say stuff like 97.5% of people like recover from this. And I'm like, yes, but that's because we have enough hospital beds, and we have enough.
Right.
The minute that you go over the thing, that's like that idiot president is saying, I told you that you didn't need that many ventilators. Listen, you don't need how many ventilators you have people for. You need to have more ventilators in case you need those ventilators.
Exactly.
They're the same fucking people that say, I'd rather have a gun and not need it than need a gun and not have it.
Right.
It's definitely on that same plane of the same people that
for sure
want to have a million fucking guns are the ones like, why can't we open up our economy? Like, fuck you. Like, I don't like, that's my thing. I'm not like, I'm setting an example, not going to work, because that's what my union brothers and sisters should understand, because the post office doesn't give a shit about you. If like, I've already heard reports like someone died that had that route, and then like the next day they just bring in some poor sap from another office, and like, that's his route now. So like, they don't care. So like, you're enabling them by going to work, and you're enabling the spread of the disease. And I don't think it spreads by mail, but because if it did, we'd all be dead probably.
Well, so I'm compromised, right? I'm compromised because being paralyzed where I am, like, I don't take as deep of breaths as I did before the injury. When I first broke my neck, the very first thing I said was, I'm going to die. I can't breathe. Like, this is like, I'm laboring. I use my lungs to breathe instead of my chest muscles like everyone else does.
So Bill, has that affected the overall structure of your lungs?
I don't know. But when I sneeze, it used to be like, make you fucking jump because it was like, whoa.
That's
like,
oh, okay.
It's different. But so like, I'm doing my best to like stay away from that shit. When I'm getting groceries delivered, and when I get them delivered, and I'm really only getting like the things where like, I got the two boys here. We'll eat a dozen eggs a day, drink a gallon of milk a day. So that kind of stuff is coming in on the regular.
Sure.
I'm taking a water and bleach solution and wiping everything down when they drop it off.
You have to.
Shit in the house.
You have to. Yeah.
It's crazy. If they came out with a therapy, like Donald Trump keeps talking about with this hydrochloroquine or whatever the fuck he keeps saying.
Which he has a stake in the company, right?
That's right. But if they came with a treatment where it was like, hey, you're not going to die, then, I'll try and go. I'd like to get back to business, obviously. I want to make money. But before that, fuck that. I'd rather be dead or alive and broke than,
right, for sure.
Got money and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think. Like, everyone's kind of in the same boat, right?
Right.
Like, with the financial aspect. Like, I'd rather be like, it doesn't matter if I'm dead, if I'm bankrupt, but if I can stay alive,
if I'm dead, it doesn't matter. Right.
Well,
like nothing really matters if you die.
Right. I really got a negative feeling about the upcoming election. I mean, I'm sorry, but
Biden's got to step away. He's
got to step away. They got to have
away.
a broker convention, and they got to put somebody else.
Right. And that's an issue. The other issue is like, this can't be changed. Like, I know the Sanders thing is over with, but my feeling is, and it's really hard to get through to guys like I spent some time talking to like Engelbert and stuff like that, and they, Engelbert makes a really nice living and everything else. Like, I think the status quo is probably working out pretty good for him. I don't do that bad. The status quo is not working out for me either, but I know that it's not working out for a lot of people. Right. So the problem, and that's how you get a Donald Trump. The
Yeah.
problem is that when you elect somebody like Joe Biden, you're only getting rid of the festering boil. You're not getting rid of the problem that's causing the boil. Donald Trump's not the problem. Donald Trump is a symptom of this deeper problem that we have. 65 million people voted for this low-life, terrible, fucking stupid person.
It's like a terrible shyster, scam, whatever. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
But a lot of problems boil with our. I actually heard John Mellencamp talking about it on an interview. Our democracy is upside down. You know, it's run for the very few at the top, where the masses are left out in the cold.
It's owned by the very few at the top.
Right.
Well, they keep us comfortable enough, right?
But,
like that's the thing. Like if they didn't keep us comfortable enough, like we would be taking their shit. Like we would go to the rich people's house and we would take all their stuff,
but
right?
How far are we from that happening, or how far are we from the right and left being so divided that one side decides to take over the other?
I don't think that we're that. I think we're closer to it than we know.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I think that and I am the least conspiratorial. I'm skeptic of everything, right? If someone tells me they're a psychic, I look at it and be like, no, you're not. You're not.
Right.
No.
You're
psycho. You talk for a while, but you're not a psychic. That was the thing. You'd be the most powerful person on the planet because you would know when everything was going to happen.
Right.
But I still, with all this going on, like I was up one night thinking in my head, all right, where is my house positioned?
Right.
What weapons do I have? How would I fortify my position? Like these are thoughts that went through my head.
Right.
I'm like,
because like it's okay until it's not okay, and that's kind of how this whole virus thing went out. Like it was like, oh well, now all of a sudden the NBA and spring training's canceled for baseball, and then like now all of a sudden all the bars are closed. And like,
but it's gonna go away like magic. What's a miracle?
But it happened where we had like 15 cases, and now we have 500,000 or whatever. Yeah. And so
tomorrow we're going to be number one, and tomorrow we'll be number one in deaths. We're like quadruple the cases for anyone, and we are lagging behind in per capita testing. Donald Trump will tell you that we've tested more people than anybody.
No, but we have so many more people than Italy
or any
of the other countries.
You got to play the percentage. Yeah.
The only number that matters is per capita. That's the only number that matters.
But they have to test everyone. That's the thing. If you don't test everyone, I could be walking around delivering mail or delivering your groceries or working at a grocery store, and I don't have any symptoms, but I have it.
Right.
And then your mom or someone that's compromised or has a higher risk gets it from that person. So if you're not just testing everyone or have a system to test everyone,
well, I
it's
like
pointless.
The antibodies test is real interesting to me.
Yeah, that is interesting to me too. I agree. Yeah.
I like that because they said that you don't need the material. There's some material that you need for the other test, and they're running low on that material. Where the antibodies,
because if I already had it, then I'm Superman, right?
Right now, yeah.
Fuck it.
But
I'll just go and fucking
to go back,
do whatever.
To go back where you compare this with the flu, I had H1N1. I had it.
You did?
Yeah. My first year teaching.
10 years ago, right?
Yeah, my first year teaching.
I might have had it also, and it was the worst I've ever been sick.
Oh, it was, man. I mean, it kicked my ass. But nobody in my house. Nobody else in the house. I stayed away from it. Nobody else had it. Where this thing sounds like John Prine got it from his wife.
Getting it.
And then like if I got it and bring it home, everybody's getting it.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like I don't like. First of all, I don't give a shit about the fucking post office, whatever. But I'm not gonna
edit that out, Bill.
The worst thing for me would be to bring it home and like give it to my wife. Like, there's no what the fuck, like. Well, 6 months from now.
The H1N1 that I thought I had, I never went to the doctor, but I was like shacked up with a woman that we had just started dating like not that much before that. So we both just had it. And we rode that fucker out, like, you know, still having sex and the whole thing, all sick and shit. And we both lost, like, I lost like 12 pounds. I was like,
yeah,
oh.
I lost a crap load of weight on that because I could not get in. I didn't even feel like eating anything.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but
They said the infectious rate of this is supposed to be 3 times more infectious, and then it's 30 times more deadly. So like, that's a recipe for disaster.
For sure. For sure.
Could you imagine if we didn't? Remember, one of my favorite Donald Trump's things is that people said to write it out. They kept saying you could write it out. No, dude.
It'll wash out.
You kept saying write it out.
Your dumbass kept saying
no one else around you said write it out, except for that one asshole from the stock market said write it out.
Right.
Everyone else was like, don't write it out. Could you imagine? So Sweden, they were going to write it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one of my friends posted that. I just keep talking because like I was like, because they were just like they're not locking it down, right?
And what happened?
Skyrocketing to the top now on cases. They have the equivalent of what the fuck do they have? They only have. I was surprised I looked it up today. There's only 10 million people in Sweden.
Really?
That's the population of Sweden is 10 million people.
That's it?
That's it. Well, you know what the population of Italy is?
What?
60 million. That's it.
Really?
That's the whole population. The population of Spain is like California. It's like 45 million or something like that. That's it. That's all that lives.
How many are in the city of Chicago?
2.
2
million. The New York's got 7 million. The New York State's got 36 or 37 million is the population.
Okay.
California's got 42 million is the population of California.
Wow.
And I mean, you got to take into consideration too. We're not talking about illegal, aliens. So there's supposed to be 12 million people in the country that we don't really know where they're at, or like that's just an estimate.
They're all hanging out on a wall.
Right. Well, that was a thing that really bothered me. There was some asshole that posted that the mayor of Chicago should be put in jail because she signed a bill saying that they would treat illegal aliens for coronavirus for free, just like, or not treat, but test and everything else. And he's like spending money on them goddamn illegal. And like, first off, you're an idiot because you can catch that from them. You do understand.
Right, you fucking asshole.
Right.
Those are the people making your fucking food and cutting your grass.
They're literally picking your berries and shit, your fruit for you.
Yeah,
right.
Like you're sick. You're an idiot. Secondly, I don't understand the disconnect. Did their parents do this bad of a job raising them? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're an awful human being if that's what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about people. The bottom line, you're talking about a person.
I get aggravated.
Like, take the label off of them. They're a human being.
It doesn't matter. Like, if they're from another country, they're still a human being.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, but the last 2 decades have kind of taught people, like, I got mine, right? Like, I got mine. I'm not worried about your fucking ass. I don't give a shit. Right. And that, in the midst of this pandemic, is a bad thing because people that should be staying home are like, well, we got to have the economy. I got to have my business. I got to do all this shit. You shouldn't be doing that because you're just contributing to this being worse.
Right.
Right? Like, it's going to be worse.
And it's kind of become taboo to show that you care about somebody outside of whatever your socioeconomic place is, because then you're a socialist, And
right.
Which
you don't like
you get a check.
Right. They're the first people in line.
No, Tom, you're not on Facebook. They were literally posting, if you said you don't like Donald Trump, don't cash the check he's going to give you. Okay. There's so much fucking wrong with that. I don't even know where to start. First off, Donald Trump ain't giving me fucking shit.
No.
That's my fucking money that went there in the first fucking place.
Right.
Secondly, you fucking moron.
And they just made it up. Like, it's not even any of our money. They just said, they punched it into a computer and they're like, 2.5 trillion. and they hit return, like, and then it was like, all
Trillion.
right, now America has this much more money. Like it was like literally that. It took that amount of time, and just give it to everybody. Who gives a fuck?
Trillion.
Like that's
not even a real word. That's like a made up thing. That's 1,000 billion, which is 1,000 million.
Yeah.
Like that's
like
not
no one even knows.
That's a math problem I can't figure out.
No.
right.
Like anything beyond like 5 or 6 numbers, I'm out.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Like anything but beyond that, those amount of numbers, it shouldn't exist anyway. Like that's like, are you out of your mind? We couldn't remember all the conversations when Bernie Sanders said we got to get people health care, and every single reporter,
how are you gonna pay for it? You could have paid for it.
And then Donald Trump just walks up and goes, "We're going to spend $6 trillion on," and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like,
yeah.
I mean, my major gripe with that shit is our buddy that's drinking craft beer and living in Maine. He that might be a little bit too much of a.
I like craft beer.
I think I'm drinking craft beer too. I believe.
I know exactly. Let's call him AJ.
Right. Well, he posted that, how in the world are we going to pay for this healthcare plan that's this and this? It's totally absurd. And I was like, listen, what you're saying doesn't even make any sense. Healthcare is going to happen whether we have socialized medicine or not, correct? Right. People are going to get sick. People are going to get vaccinated. They're going to pay for it. We pay 2 to 3 times as much as other countries do for healthcare right now.
Yes.
Why can't we just say we've got a better way of paying for it and do it that way?
Right. It's either you pay for it directly or indirectly. The cost is coming back.
How does your economic situation relate to why you should be cared for in our healthcare system? I think that is fucking insane. Like you want a healthy country, right?
Again,
like you want workers that are healthy so they can do all the mule shit that all the rich people require us to do. So like isn't it like an investment in like your serfs, like from the back in the serfdom thing? Like let's keep the serfs healthy so they can do our bidding.
Sure.
Whatever. Like
there is
right?
one that wants us to go back to work more than the wealthy, because that's who we're working for. Like that's how the system is set up. They said that like Bloomberg lost like $15 billion when the stock market took a shit, because he was worth $70 billion before, and he was worth like $49 billion after the stock market.
How's he gonna eat?
Oh my God.
How's he gonna eat?
Should we send him money?
He's probably so embarrassed to
Should we send him I'll send him some Instacart or whatever, or like Omaha Steaks.
Can we get his address?
I ordered a bunch of Omaha Steaks because I'm fucking out of my mind.
We're all joking about this, but that fucker's sitting on a couch somewhere talking to his therapist about it.
Probably,
he's like, I wish somebody would send me some donations.
I've worked my whole life to have that number.
Dude, I invented a stock market computer. Like, how genius am I? Like, fuck you.
I wasted all that money on my presidential campaign and then the stock market.
Oh God, what the fuck? Like, that's the thing. Like, when this whole thing started, he was still running for president, right?
I think so.
I think he was.
I can't remember if he dropped out by then or not.
But I mean, still, he was running when it was in China or whatever like that. But I mean, like, so that's a guy right there who could have. He was worth $70 billion. He could have spent the interest he was making on his money to develop a vaccine and started it 10 years ago.
Or just give people money, like to stay home. Right. Hey, I'm Mike Bloomberg. Do you want to stay home and not get the coronavirus? I'm going to send you a check for $500 a week. How does that sound? I'd be like, great. That sounds great. I will vote for you as the president. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you could buy the presidency at this point if you were that rich. Like, you
Trump?
legit
Well,
buy it.
but you know what? That's the other one. Rob Wiedner would say stuff like, he's self-funded, Bill, so he doesn't need anybody's money.
No.
Donald Trump did not spend 1 cent of his own money on that campaign.
Bill, isn't that what he got busted for with that military foundation? Was he held like a
from his own charity.
Yeah.
His charity is shut
down.
Like he
Listen,
can't operate it anymore.
The very best part about him stealing from his charity was the shit that he bought with the money he stole. He bought nasty ass portraits of himself and shit like that.
Are you surprised?
No.
Yeah.
We were laughing the other night that he named his last son the same name that was his fake,
like pseudo press.
Yes, publicist.
Yeah, I never knew about that till Bill. You told me about that the other day.
I love it. I mean, you named your
John Barron.
John Barron. Yeah, right.
Oh God.
Easy fucker.
Sickening.
It's like we're living in like a movie or
a bad movie
or whatever. Like a terrible idiocracy.
Right? Yeah, like idiocracy is what we're living in.
Yeah.
But that's the part for me that made me think tactically about my place. Like, how am I going to do because, wait a minute.
How do you defend yourself?
Well, right. I move everybody in the basement and I stay upstairs ready to go. The wife and kids are in the basement. And get in the bathroom.
Yep.
And
right. We would be in the brick part of the home. I would put 2x4s across the windows so I could still see out of them, but not have anyone come in.
Yeah.
We've got rifles. We've got guns. I mean, that's how it would be. But
I'm the same way.
Look at the knee-jerk reaction that went on. The liberal media was presenting this as a problem for about 3 weeks before the conservative media, before Fox News was saying it was a problem, right?
Well, wasn't Fox News part of the hoax? It was a hoax thing, and it was all going to be made up.
Right, but
we had 15 cases, and the 15 cases were because we let some fucking cruise ship back because somebody emailed a Republican fucking congressman,
right?
And you got to get off this ship or whatever.
But,
like
the minute that everything went sideways was when Fox News and Donald Trump did that about face. That's when the runs on the grocery stores. That's when everything went sideways. I mean, I was at Costco 2 weeks before that. There wasn't Costco's always busy, but the shelves were full. I could get whatever the hell I wanted to get.
Yeah.
The minute that the conservative media said, hey, this is actually a problem, all those assholes went out and bought fucking beer or fucking toilet paper and fucking bottled water, which that's the two dumbest things you don't need.
Jerry and I were talking when this all kind of said to stock up, like it wasn't even on my list.
No.
No. I didn't know toilet paper. And like I can get water like from my faucet.
Right.
So the exact same people who constantly post on social media that remember the days when we used to drink out of the hose, bought 16 cases of bottled water.
And like 8,000 things of toilet paper.
The toilet paper thing, dude. So I'm a guy in a wheelchair. I haven't used a fucking square of toilet paper in fucking years. I'm like a Japanese guy. I take a shit, I go in the shower, and I use the fucking wash rag after I'm done with my body. Then I use the wash rag out and throw it in the fucking wash machine. I don't use toilet paper.
Like not having toilet paper is like the least of your problems, and if
you're not gonna die, if you don't have toilet paper. You're legit not gonna die. I'm not a doctor.
I only have so much.
But you're probably not gonna die from that.
I only have so much room in my cart, but I need 36 rolls of toilet paper in the cart.
Right.
That and water. Like, I mean, what the fuck are you doing?
Bottled fucking water should have been illegal like 3 years ago, but whatever.
Yeah.
Rip off, right?
Like it's dumb. Like they're just like mining water from places that have water to put in bottles so people like feel like it's cleaner or
what if our water system gets poisoned from the coronavirus?
Well, you know what?
Then we gotta
we're Mad Max now.
Well,
We're just in that movie, and like you just do what you got to do. Bill just have a mullet again, and like spikes or whatever. And
I had a mullet. Bill had a mohawk.
right.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Mullet
I mean,
and mohawk.
but think about the genius that the guy that was at Coca-Cola, and he was like, we could just put the water in the bottle, none of the Coca-Cola stuff.
Right.
We'll call it Dasane. We'll sell it for $1 a bottle.
How about that?
That's fucking insane, man.
Cash
And
me
they did it,
outside.
people bought it. And I mean,
Right.
I see people that are drinking the Dasani water, and they're like, I can totally tell the difference between this and that fucking store-bought water. Like, no, you can't. It's fucking
Yeah.
water, you idiot.
Right.
Like,
Right.
It's all
Right. I remember
water.
when they did a test. They tested like tap, and they took like 5 different companies, and it was like,
Like it was like
it was
worse
so
that water
in
was
the
better.
bottle.
Right.
yeah.
Think
There's
about
no-
what we were drinking bottled water out of just 10 years ago, like the BPH or whatever that's in the plastic.
Right.
And
Yeah.
just dumb. But
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing drives me nuts. I love Canada. I used to spend a lot of time there. It's just too fucking cold. Like,
Yeah.
I need to look into what's on the West Coast over there by the ocean, and maybe it's stable, the weather. But like, this country's not going to get.
Canada sucks with the
Oh
weather.
my god! But the people are so dumb. It's like unbelievable.
Let me ask you guys a question though, because like, we're so divided as a country. Like, there aren't too many things that I'm not willing to talk to somebody about and maybe find common ground. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to run to my side or the other side. It's like everything should be open for discussion, and not like, if you think this, you're an idiot. And it's like, no, well, let's sit down and talk about it. Maybe you and I can find a compromise in between here. Because isn't that what the intent of our government originally was?
Right. Every oil painting of the framers, they're arguing with each other.
Right.
Somehow we can't do this here. I think the major problem that we have is that, like, I come out biased in this, but the real problem that we have is one side is like 90% wrong about everything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, listen, if tax cuts and deregulation was what helped the economy, then we would be doing that now, not writing checks.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, if you look at this situation, and I don't understand why we're giving big businesses money at all. Like, I don't get it at all. You have all the infrastructure for this thing. The only thing that you need is people with money to come buy stuff from you. So
Right.
why not give all of, like, when you look at the breakdown, they had like $200 billion for the, for money for people, and then like $350 billion for businesses. Why do I have to give businesses money when they're going to get their money from the people? You want to stimulate the economy, give the people the money, and then let them give it to the businesses. If your business isn't good enough to get the money, then you shouldn't be in business.
Right. But that's why I can't figure out, like, with Amazon. Like, Henry Ford figured out, if I pay my workers more money, they'll buy more of my cars. Like,
Amazon doesn't care.
But you would think, like, if I pay my workers more money, they're going to buy more Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you can come in and say hey to. I think you've met both of these guys. No, I'm not Tom. Yeah. So he's
What's
out
up,
in the
guys?
gym, hitting the weights.
Cool.
We've been living in the damn gym, man. I mean, it's been.
Yeah, we've been having mandatory 4:30 workawts every day.
Oh, 4:30. You mean 4:30 in the afternoon or 4:30 in the morning? Because
That's when I do my nap.
What were you gonna say, Bill? 4:30? What?
Because 4:30 a.m. is when they're mostly working out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's when I'm panicking at 4:30, and then
I'm
I
usually
stay
going
up
for like
2
my third
hours.
pee in the evening.
Yeah, I do. I pee, and then I panic, and then I go to sleep, and then I sleep till like 11, and then I'm like, oh, we should have some
I'll tell you
lunch
what,
or
this
whatever.
year, before this thing hit, I had eaten one cheeseburger like that was fast food.
Yeah.
And then since this hit, we've only eaten at home. That's it.
Right.
I have never in my life eaten so well or lifted so much weights. I mean, it's been.
That's awesome.
Oh my
Bill,
God! I mean, it's been crazy the amount of
This
time.
is the first time, like, because this year would have been my 18th year training in jiu-jitsu and stuff. And my body right now feels the best it's felt.
Oh, sure.
Because I haven't had somebody trying to kick my ass multiple times a week,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing anything? Do you do any, like, Jim Bennett's got, like, awesome yoga stuff for grapplers, man.
Yeah, I've looked up a bunch of gym stuff because I have my back and shoulders are the worst parts of my body. But I have looked up Jim's videos and studied them. But right now I'm doing like circuit, like Tabata workouts and stuff like that. And so I've been doing just a lot of film study and things like that.
I'm super limited to what I can do. Like I got my kind of gym setup out there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, like I'm doing things. I've had that same gym setup for, I've been in this chair for 17 years. Probably for 15 of it, I've had the gym set up. And I mean, I'm thinking of new shit now. Like I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I would, for cardio, I would just take the wheelchair out on the road and I would go do 10 miles. Like it would take me, almost 3 hours to do 10 miles. And it would just be my cardio. I was out of the gym. I put 20 pounds on the pulley and I was doing rowing. And I would pull that back and forth like I'm rowing a boat for 18 minutes at a time. I'd be winded when I'm like, why the fuck was I not doing this?
Yeah, because you're also doing the strength too, right?
Well, I'm doing that, and I'm doing like a pitcher, right? Like they learned that if they put a weighted ball in their hand and they didn't let the ball go, that they developed the back of their shoulder up because they were tearing their rotator cuff and stuff like that from only pushing the repetitive motion situation.
Yeah.
Wheelchair's the same way, right? I'm constantly pushing forward.
Oh, yeah.
Now when I'm rowing, I'm pulling back at me and I'm working my back and everything else. And I mean, like I'm noticing it in the mirror. I'm like,
oh, damn.
Yeah, I'm telling
you're
you,
jacked.
Yeah.
You're jacked.
No
I have
shit.
never and I'm not anywhere near like I was decent size before I broke my neck, but like I have never spent this much time in the gym. We go out there and we spend sometimes 3 hours. Oh yeah. To turn Netflix on, and then like I said, I'm looking in the mirror going, "Damn, I'm."
Which way is the beach?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a gun show.
What was the Tommy Boy? Right? What was the Tommy Boy thing? Oh, which was the gym?
You're gonna have to get those things licensed, Bill.
Yeah, you are. You need your Floyd card or whatever.
Yeah.
For those
I don't.
guys.
I don't ever work out for vanity reasons.
Maybe Karen Tyron will be interested if you show those.
I asked her, so she's
I give her credit.
I love Karen. I do.
I mean, I give her credit.
Yeah, she's
got her cause.
Right, for coming on and everything else. She was, like the modeling stuff, right, and everything else. So I asked her like a fitness question. I'm like, "Do you do it?" She's like, "I've never worked out once."
Wow.
Like, hey, that's good genetics then, right?
Good genetics, yeah.
Something.
Couldn't do it, man. I'm telling you what, I feel good.
I feel great.
Yes, to go lift and all that other stuff.
You guys, I envy you.
Jerry, I feel
terrible.
No, I strongly suggest you do yoga. Yoga, man.
What about cigarettes? Maybe I should do that.
I'd rather say smoke pot, man, than that.
Well, I'm gonna do that too tonight.
Smoke weed, dude. Don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah, I just finally found a workout that I enjoy. I really enjoy the circuits. We do 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Go as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take that long to really get exhausted and sweaty and.
Hey, you want to have a laugh? Go on YouTube and I think you just type in kettlebell workout, and you're gonna get this guy who I'm not sure if he's Russian or not. He looks like that Russian boxer that was like really good. Not that.
Drago.
Klitschko?
No, the guy was like
the smaller dude.
What?
The smaller guy, the real fast guy.
Bald guy.
Lovinchenko or whatever.
Not that little, but anyways, he just looks like a Russian guy. He talks he's like, "Okay, comrade," and he does a kettlebell workout. It's fucking hilarious.
What is funny about it?
It's like over the top,
Like we're gonna pump you up,
No, it's not
like
even that. It's not-
Hans and Franz.
you look at right. If you look at his body, it's like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. You look awful.
Oh.
But it is like, if you want to be real, man, this is what you do. Don't do weightlifting for girls. Like, it's fucking. It's. We turned it on. We have the TV in the kitchen, and we had it on. We were eating, and we were like
Cracking up.
yeah, oh god, it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's so.
Well, speaking of eating, I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, we should
bail.
wrap it up anyway, man. It's 10:15.
Yeah. Hey, this was great, guys.
Yeah, this
Thank
was
you.
great. We got to do it. Like, I mean, we
No,
can pretty much do it every day because none of us are
But,
doing
I
shit.
mean, it was great even just to laugh and get your mind
Yeah.
off everything. And
It was-
Like talking about the White Sox, that was so good.
that
and
was, I want to
thanks
get
for
Dave
having
back on
Mundo
because now I got more questions.
All right,
we
so
got a
we'll-
lot of questions for you, Dave.
Let's plan on.
We'll put them on trial.
right,
Put
let's-
them on trial.
We'll try and do it again next Friday.
Next Friday.
He did back in the day on his Commodore 64. Every day he was playing that RBI baseball where he was like modeling like a whole season. Like he would put it in.
That's
And I pulled it up because I have my computer as a child on my desk here. RBI baseball takes a lot of time. Like
We gotta
in
ask him
a
about that.
8-bit computer. And he would play it every day and he would like simulate everything and put all that's why he like I think he worked for Google and like
no kidding.
Facebook or whatever because he's statistically like he's a genius. So
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell
we
you
need
what.
to have him
I
on.
appreciate you guys coming on, and
Yeah. No, thanks for
I think it's healthy.
We love you, Bill.
Yes, we do.
I think it's healthy for us to at least see each other a little bit. Like
Yeah.
How about it?
the texting thing. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna probably it's coming up to time where people that text me, I'm gonna tell them, hey, if we're friends like we are.
Like Zoom.
No, text me. Well, I mean, I don't know who's got Android or what,
What's that song? Like who's zooming who? Like that should be a thing.
but
All I want to do is a little zoom, zoom,
all the
zoom.
texting. Just make
Yeah.
it do a video
Yeah.
call, do a call.
Yeah.
Talk because
It's healthy for
Yes.
everybody to see
For
each
sure.
other.
100%. 100%. And to laugh. At some
Right.
point, you got to be able to laugh, man.
see you, boys.
All right, guys.
Love you guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Good night.
Later.
Later.